Welcome to the Fit Strength Podcast, where you will be informed, educated, and empowered in order to take charge and take action so you can reach your athletic and/or fitness goals. The only way for you to get stronger, faster, and better conditioned is to be consistent every day, all year long, doing things that will ensure your mind and body is strong and resilient. If you're ready to make changes, then let's go. In today's episode, I was able to speak with the seniors of the St. John Fisher basketball program. These are awesome young men, hardworking. I've had the privilege, my company and my other coaches have had the privilege of working with these athletes all year round. Currently, they're standing at 18-7 and 14-4 in their conference play. And, this is this is a very important week for them, and they took time out of their day to chat with me. Some of the things we talked about were, defining work ethic, what helped them get to the collegiate level. And they also shared awesome tips for young up-and-coming basketball players on what they could be working on, should be working on to help them get to the next level. I enjoyed my time speaking with these guys. These dudes are awesome. So I know you'll enjoy this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I would like to take a quick break to mention one of our sponsors. Fit Strength Performance is the top sports performance facility located in Fairport, New York for athletes 11 and older. At Fit Strength, athletes are prepared mentally and physically for the demands of their sport through improving explosiveness, gaining strength, and increasing mobility and flexibility, and reducing their likelihood of an injury. At Fit Strength, the semi-private model, 4 athletes to 1 coach, allows each athlete to get custom programming and individualized attention to make sure their form is good and energy stays high. For more information about Fit Strength, please email info@fit-strength.com. That is info@fit-strength.com. Now back to the show. Everyone ready to roll?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, ready to go.
So I'll do an intro, just kind of like highlighting all you guys and highlighting the team and all that stuff. So we don't have to worry about doing that now. So we're just gonna get going in the conversation.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Should we have the questions out in front of us, or are you just going to ask them for us?
I mean, to be honest, I have these questions and I end up not even asking the questions.
Okay.
After the first one, I just that's a good. Let's talk about that. So
Sounds good.
that's just ideally kind of where I want to go. But we'll see where the conversation takes us.
Cool.
Awesome. So, fellas, thanks for joining. I appreciate you being on the Fit Strength Performance podcast. It's been awesome working with you guys this past year. So I couldn't help but have to have an episode with all of you, just sharing your experiences, talking about hoops, talking about training. So real quick, can each of you just describe 90 seconds is where you're from, position you play, why do you play basketball? What is it about basketball that you really like? And then just something different about yourself that we may not know. So Foley, since you were on time, how about you go first?
So I'm Jack Foley. I'm a senior from Denver, Colorado. I'm a guard. I don't know. I've just always been drawn to basketball. Like anytime I had something any stress in my life, like growing up as a kid, I would just go outside and play, or my mind would just kind of go blank, and it was just a fun way to relieve any stress or pressure that I was feeling in school or any things with friends or anything like that. So it was kind of just a safe haven, I guess, growing up, and I just always loved it. I mean, got pretty decent at it as I grew up, got bigger, stronger. So something I've just always been drawn to, I guess, why I play basketball. So
what do you got for me, Cook?
My name's Dana Cook. I'm a senior from Rochester, New York. I went to Pittsburgh Mendon High School. I'm a forward, and I guess what drew me to basketball growing up is honestly just been the camaraderie of it. I would say especially college basketball. It's pretty cool just going through, all the practice times, the travel away games, just all the struggles and the ups and downs. I feel like nothing else can make you closer with friends. So I guess that's probably the biggest thing that's drawn me to it. And then I guess something unique about me is that I love to cook. So, I'm big on that nutrition.
No pun intended?
No pun intended, I'm a chef. So that's probably my favorite part about basketball, and then that's something unique about me.
All right. I'm going to go back to that idea you like to cook. This may not even be a basketball podcast or training podcast anymore. Gentile, what do you got for me, man?
Yeah, so my name's Ryan Gentile. I'm a grad student at Fisher. I grew up in Spencerport. I've been playing basketball since I was, I think, in fourth or fifth grade I started. So relatively late, probably compared to most people, but I don't know. I like, love the hang time, spending time with the boys, and just kind of being able to be around this group of guys has been really fun this year. And just, I don't know, I really enjoy these guys. And basketball has always been something for me where, kind of like Foley talked about, it's like a stress reliever sometimes. You can kind of get away from everything else and kind of, I don't know, just, kind of relax and, do your own thing.
Cool. Last but not least.
Yeah, so I'm Matt Panera. I'm a senior guard from Pittsford, and I went to Pittsford Sutherland, so I was rivals with Dan all throughout high school.
Rainbow Classic.
Yeah.
Rainbow Classic.
Yep. And what drew me to basketball, this was my dad. He put a ball in my hand at really young, and I just fell in love with the game. And then just like Ryan and Dan were saying, like the bonds you make with basketball and just any sport, but especially basketball for me, it's been awesome. And with this team too, we basically have had the same team for 3 years, like group of core guys. So we're just all so close. So that's what I love about the game.
Cool. Love it, guys. So something that's like crazy different than when I was playing, I don't know if you guys can relate to it, but just the idea of work ethic. A lot of times kids just think if they played pickup or they just got some shots up. I hear kids all the time say, I spent 6 hours at the Y. I'm like, well, you still can't dribble with your left hand though. Like you still limited. That's a lot of hours. So what are your thoughts on this idea of work ethic? Do you think like kids are working harder? Are they working smarter? Or are they kind of just running through the motions? How do you guys look at work ethic and how it's helped you get to the collegiate level? And just dive in. Don't worry about going in order. Just, round robin conversation.
Yeah, I guess what I've learned through growing up, I don't think I was always the hardest skill worker in the gym, like always getting in the gym, getting up shots for the longest amount of time. But I learned from mentors and people who played it for me that like it's about what you do when you're in the gym. So 30 minutes, like work your ass off. Work your butt off. Like working your handle, like when you're doing ball handling drills, like in between layups, stuff like that. It's like the effectiveness of the time in your gym that's huge. And honestly, like not to boost you or anything because we're on a fitness podcast, but once you get to college, the biggest thing for me personally was strength. I felt like my skill was there. I was pretty heavily recruited. I had some offers places, and going in there, like I thought I was going to be, even better than I was, but literally just got my butt kicked by 22-year-old men when I'm 17. And then I put on 20, 30 pounds going to college, and I feel like that was probably the biggest change for my game. So it's much time in the weight room as it is on the court. That's really big for being a great player.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Dan with the strength. Just the biggest difference is the speed of the game, but also the strength. You're playing against grown men like Ryan. He's a 24-year-old guy, so it's like you're playing against those type of guys.
Are you considered grown at 24 though? Like, is that considered?
I don't know. Are you coming in
college?
I'm
college.
Grandpa. I'm talking about. I'm a grandpa. Is that what you're saying?
I'm talking about college, like 18-year-olds. You got little guys that just don't have the strength yet, and you got Ryan. It's just gonna. But that's just an example. But
what is the difference, though, right? Like you could be like that. That little difference is huge. 5 years. That's like you know how to use your body. Your joints are just like stiffer, like positively and negatively. But it's like grown man strength is a real thing, especially at the college level when you're still seasoned and playing all the time. But that's that's the reality of it.
Definitely a real thing.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Foles. You got it, buddy. All you.
No, all right, fine. So, as a freshman, I was like, coming into college, I kind of growing up, like I had played with like D1, D2 kids. So kind of coming into D3, I was like, oh, well, this is going to be easy. Or not like easy, but like, oh, I can do this. And then I quickly learned that college, even D3, like college is still way different than high school. Like I came in, I would lift in high school, but I didn't really take it too super seriously. Like I was probably like 170 pounds a freshman. So like kind of realized that I needed to take lifting and all that seriously. And with work ethic, I think like one piece of advice I'd give kids today is to work on like you don't have to always put like crazy combo moves together because you're not always going to use those in a game. Like kind of find a couple like simple but like effective moves and kind of just master those, I guess, because like as simple as it is and as crazy as it sounds, like if you are a good shooter and you have a good pump fake, every team's gonna jump for it. So then you can just get a wide open shot. So like just finding simple moves rather than super like complicated moves that you might not be as good at. I think that's kind of key to becoming like a better player in the future.
Yeah, I would agree, Foles. I mean, like, what I think about in terms of work ethic and like kids today is like a lot of things I see is like I feel a lot of kids try to take on everything at once, right? And I feel like there's like not a foundation, not a staple for people to like really kind of rely on and understand. I was even like, I kind of went through that as well. Like I would kind of feel like sometimes, 2, 3 years ago, some of my training, I feel like was kind of all over the place. I go in the gym and, I'd work on this, I'd work on that, right? And then I feel like I'm working on 1,000 different things and I feel like I'm not progressing as much as I would like to or should have, So it's like kind of what Foley said is just, find some things that you really want to get better at. And I feel like you can achieve a lot more when you have, a set goal in mind and kind of like a set thing you want to get better at. Because I mean, you're good at one thing at college level. If you can shoot, you're going to be on the floor. You know what I mean? Or if you can, if you're a big man, you can make, jump hooks or good post moves, like all that stuff matters. And I think a lot of times I feel like with kids nowadays is the fact that I feel like everyone wants to do everything, which is good. You should be able to handle the ball and shoot and pass and all of that, but at the same time it's like, again, people need to focus on getting better, I feel like, at one thing, because I feel like you can achieve it easier, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you guys nailed it on the head. This one thought I have for all of you, and just because, I own a training gym and I do more sports performance, don't have to always go down the fitness piece. I appreciate those shout outs. What, from a skill aspect though, like, do you find yourself, like when you came as a freshman, looking back when you're 18 years old, were you working just as hard versus like when you had a couple of years of college? Because I can recall like when I graduated from Hobart and I wanted to play pro basketball, I vividly remember like finding Tyler Ralph on Instagram and YouTube and seeing his intensity during stationary ball. You've seen the guy do ball. You've done the
Yeah.
TRB.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he does ball handling, like it literally looks like his body's going to explode.
Right.
And to me, I'm like,
Seriously.
what happens if I do that every time I do stationary drills? And like the effort that I was able to put forth, like just that summer when I was trying to play ball overseas, it was crazy. And I'm like, where was that when I was 18 years old? So do you think, are you guys in that same boat? Do you think you actually, like Cook, you said for 30 minutes, like in high school, do you think your work ethic was where it needed to be in high school versus like what you learned in college based on getting your butt whooped? Like, do you think there was balance, or do you think it was way off?
No, I definitely think that I work way harder now than I ever did in high school. And I thought when I got to my freshman year of college, and honestly, every year I progressed since, that I'm like, you know what, dude, I wish I worked harder every single year. And I feel like you hear that from everyone. You always wish you worked harder in the moment. But I guess with that comes wisdom and experience. Just like the older you get, the more you see that you can improve on. There's film, there's more like analytics. Our coaches are, telling you certain things. You get more knowledge at a higher level. So there's a bunch of things that go into it. But I would definitely say that no matter how hard you're working, there's definitely something else you can do to improve your game.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that mindset though will kind of take you down like what Ryan said? Like there's always something else to do. So like you'll devalue what you're doing in the moment and say I got to do more next time versus focusing on being in the moment and just going hard.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Ryan said and kind of what your point is there. I think the biggest thing that I wish I did growing up, honestly, was have more of like a written plan for what I wanted to do that year.
Yeah.
People always say like write your goals down, and honestly, not until college did I write down like I want to be this weight. This is what I want to do for my workout routine. And I guess one thing that I never really truly did was honestly like write down a schedule, like kind of plan, like not just super structured that I have to do this exact thing every single time I work out, but kind of like, all right, this goal for my off season is to work on my off the catch 3-point shooting. So it's like coming off ball screens, flare screens, that kind of stuff. Right. That's specific but measurable at the same time. I feel like it's really key to not overdoing your work and getting into a bunch of different stuff, but like really working on one goal and becoming better at it.
Cool, that's great. What about you guys? Do you guys rate your goals down and stuff like that?
Yeah,
I have been. Yeah, trying to.
It's just like one thing I learned from my high school coach that I learned in college that he told me about was just tracking your shooting and just seeing it on paper. So every day you shoot in the off season, you count your makes for off the dribble, stationary threes, like stuff like that. And you can just see your progress along the way. Like, all right, see, I'm either improving in this area. So then that means I got to work on the other stuff. So just seeing it in physical, like on paper, like it really helps. And I guess that would be advice for younger generations to write stuff down.
Yeah, I would agree. And like, I feel like too, for me, it's like, as I've gotten older as well, like the quality of the work I have to put in has to be, I guess, more, I don't know, it's become better, right? It's become more efficient. I know what I need to do when I get in there, right? So kind of like Dan talked about, like having your goal, having your mindset of, what you want to work on, what you got to do. It's easier to get through that workout instead of just getting into it kind of, mindlessly or, not knowing what you got to do. But yeah, for me personally, just understanding like, quality is better sometimes than just the quantity of what I have to do. Has been really kind of game changing for me for the past 2 years.
Yeah, and I think Foley, you said it good. Like, where you coming in, you play with some high level guys, and you thought D3 was going to be light work, nothing. But at the end of the day, like, it's college basketball, right? You're playing with all of you are the best players in your team. Plain and simple. So D1, 2, or 3, right? Everyone's the best player on their team. So it's that idea of, that mindset coming in. Because what I see so many times with senior year's over with, like, I'm chilling, I'm good. I was the best player on the team. I'm going to walk into college, I'm the best player. And it's, unfortunately, the 22-year-old guy that's not even playing, they're still going to be better than the freshman because knowledge, experience, the X's and O's, the skill piece. So that's the reality of it.
Right.
Like, so what do you think led to you guys getting to play college basketball? Like, what do you think helped all of you get the opportunity to wear the St. John Fisher jersey, to step on the court, to call yourself, whether it's D1, 2, or 3, but to call yourself a collegiate basketball player? What do you think was that, like, that deciding factor, or what supported you?
I would say from a recruiting standpoint, especially at our level, I mean, a lot of D3 guys, they're not getting the same attention as you see on like Instagram and Twitter, like these 5-star, 4-star recruits. We're not getting that clout, so to speak. So I would say a big thing if you're trying to play in college is to be an initiator, to reach out to coaches, to talk to your high school coach, talk to friends and family who have played D3 basketball or higher, and honestly just network. If that's your question you're asking, like, that's a big thing. It's just trying to just create outreach and get some highlight tape together and just kind of just put yourself in that position to be playing basketball.
Did you think about that, like, when you're in high school? Was your mindset of like, I'm trying to play college basketball? Is that what helped you get to the college level? And this is for all of you too. Or was it more so like, I'm going to be the best player that I possibly can be, and like, let fate decide?
Honestly, for me, I didn't ever want to play college basketball, honestly. So I kind of was just enjoying the moment every time. And I feel like that might have attributed to my success a little bit more because I didn't really obviously I wanted to play well, but I didn't really care about the outcome of myself playing. I just wanted to win. And I honestly think that was pretty beneficial for me going into college too, because even though I thought I was going to be, one of the best guys on my team originally, like I started my freshman year and I still was like that fifth starter. You know what I mean? And I feel like the humbling factor is really helpful because when you go into college and you're not the leading scorer anymore, you got to figure out what you can do when you have someone on your team who's 21 years old, been the player of the year, been, so-and-so and what. You got to say, like, this guy's not going to give me the ball right away. So what are you going to do that puts you on the court? You're going to rebound, you're going to pass, you're going to set hard screens. The small stuff like that add up. And I feel like that helped me just when I'm in a rut, you know what I mean? Like doing the small things again help you do the big things.
Going off what Dan said, like I had an unconventional path to college basketball. Just, originally I went to St. Bonaventure my freshman year, and I actually got recruited out of high school for football, and I decided not to play, so I was just going as a regular student. Ended up not being the place for me, so I only lasted a semester there, but I missed basketball a ton just from high school and all that. So it's that outreach that Dan was talking about. I contacted a bunch of coaches that I've been in contact before, and luckily Coach Groscadonia gave me a opportunity, and I kind of ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, just thinking about like how I got to the college level, it's just, for me, it was always like whenever I do something, like I like to be fully engaged in it, and I kind of try to try to work as hard as I can to be the best version of myself, kind of like you were talking about, Mark. So it's for me, when I started getting serious with it in high school, then I'm like, okay, you kind of have this goal in mind if you want to play college basketball, and you kind of think about what do you got to do to get there. And for me, it was just work ethic. It was just working, as hard as I possibly could. And even though it may not have been some of the best stuff or, the most useful things, I feel like that's kind of what carried me along to get to that, college level where I'm at now.
Going off that, I mean, is it like after like growing up, my sisters came to college like out in the East Coast, and I have a bunch of family out here, so I kind of had it in my mind that I also wanted to come out to the East Coast, being from Colorado. Like I knew a lot of coaches wouldn't really know who I was, so first of all, I knew I had to play well, like to have like the stats if they looked me up or like the highlights if they looked me up, and then kind of going off what Dan said, like you do have to be an initiator in some sense, like. If you have to make your own highlight tape, you have to make your own highlight tape. Like not everyone's going to make it for you at this kind of level. And then you kind of in like the real world too. Like you have to do a good job of networking for yourself. Like coaches want kids who have like a good personality, like know who could like be a good teammate. Like they don't want someone who really like only cares about themselves. Like you kind of have to show like what you can bring to the team from a personality perspective as well as skill wise. So I think just being like as Dan said, a good networker is a key part to finding your way to being a college basketball player as well. So
yeah. I think you guys are talking both about like intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with Cook saying like I just wanted to win. Intrinsically, like I'm trying to dominate, and whatever happens, as long as there's a dub on the board, we're good. And then like Gentile, the same thing. Like I want to work as hard as I can because that's the only option. But Foley too, it's like I'm going to get some stats. I need to get my stats. If I put up 18 a game, that's a good opportunity for me to get to wherever I want to go, and I can prove it. And Panera, having that hope that I'm going to work hard, and then people remember me. I think that's something that we forget, right? If you just are rememberable to a degree, that takes you so much further from I want to win or remember my work ethic or let's look at my stat line. That's why I deserve a conversation. I think kids are in so many different directions. I don't have that answer, so I'm curious with you guys, like, where do you think kids' heads are at like now? I know, Gento, you got siblings, Cook, you're local, so you see a bunch of high school kids still, playing games, Panera and Foley. I don't know your experience with some of the younger generation. You've worked the camps. Like, where do you think kids' heads are at with this extrinsic and, intrinsic motivation element?
Well, I think honestly, just from like, being around a lot of high school basketball players, because I go to my younger brother's games and stuff, and, he's a junior at Kearney. And I feel like for a lot of these kids right now is obviously they want to play college basketball, but I feel like one of the biggest problems right now is it's like Division I or bust. And I feel like kids just want to, they feel like if they don't get that scholarship offer, right, like it's not worth it, or it's, maybe Division II or Division III is not as good. And it's just not the case, right? Because I mean, you have pro hoopers come out of Division III, Division II all the time. And, I think with kids nowadays I think motivation is a lot to do with, what they're seeing on Instagram and Twitter and a lot of that stuff. And, I think most people try to, start to figure it out as they get older. But, in terms of high school kids, I still feel like that's a fairly big issue right now, is just the misconception of divisions and like where you kind of fall, where you belong, and, what's good for people, what makes sense,
Yeah, going off of Ryan's side, I think there's a huge gap in between, honestly, even us being seniors and the kids that are coming up into college nowadays. I feel like they're more so intrinsically motivated to be that guy coming to college when they don't really understand like what it's like, especially at our level, we don't get to play around with the ball for 15 seconds and do ISOs. Let's catch, make a move quickly, pass the ball, or shoot it. I feel like that's kind of a detriment of social media a little bit. Like we see like guys like Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving and all these talented players who can just do these crazy stuff. But in reality, I mean, that's less than 1% of the population that is that skilled and is putting that time to be like that. So I feel like that's key for guys to know. Just work on the simple stuff, spin moves, hop steps, like Foley said, shooting. That's just big for guys who want to come in and win.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, no, I haven't been to like many local games around here since I'm not from here, but like at the camps and stuff that I've seen, like prospect camps, even like that we've worked here at Fisher, like I think a lot of it kind of just goes into one-on-one ISOs after a while. and like kids think that they need to score to get a coach's attention. Like, well, I mean, obviously, if you put the ball in the bucket, you're going to get a coach's attention. But like, there's a lot of other ways you can affect a game positively rather than scoring that a coach will see. Like, if you're like in someone's shorts for 94 feet and don't let them like ever get a good look, like a coach will notice that. Or if you put people like in the right spots with your passing, like every possession, like a coach is going to see that. Like, they have an eye for talent and they'll see like the intrinsic part of the game rather than just scoring. So I think just focusing on having a positive impact just on the like overall game in general rather than just scoring is something that I think can be emphasized more with kids today.
Yeah, I guess just keeping it simple too. We have a ton of players in our conference where, they're really good, but their teams are trash. So it's like, and they're not winning. So it's like, it's not really, you can be this flashy player, but at the end of the day, you're not going to win basketball games being like that. And I think if they realize that, if you play team basketball, you're going to have way more success.
Yeah, cool. So gonna pivot a little bit, talk about like, more tangible, actionable items for athletes, right? I love giving feedback to parents and kids and just say like, hey, either whether it's from me or it's from like other athletes, like these are the things that you can do, right? So, from a basketball standpoint, because you guys said it so many times, and I think that's like so valuable for kids to hear, keeping it simple. There's a saying in strength and conditioning, it's the KISS idea, keep it stupid simple, right? Like, you don't have to do a Bosu ball, back squat, front squat, overhead press on your pinky, pronation, breathing out of one nostril and one earlobe, right? Right? It's like, you don't do that. Just learn how to squat efficiently and be proficient in that one movement. And I think you're going to be pretty heavy. So from a basketball point of view, because I was a pull-up guy, you give me a pull-up, I'm taking it 99% of the time. That was me. And I thought that, when I saw athletes, when I trained, it's like if you have a pull-up, it's kind of like a ball fake with Foley. It's like if you have a ball fake and a jumper, you have a layup, you have a pull-up, you have one kind, like everything else opens the door. So for me, when I coach kids, I was like, get a pull-up. Because if you have a pull-up and someone takes your three away and takes the lane away, well, now you should make a layup if you're a varsity player. You should make a wide open three if you're a varsity player and you're a guard. But if you can make a pull-up now, confidence goes out the wazoo. So for you guys, what do you think, like, if I said, like, hey, 3 moves to work on every single day, like Kobe Bryant mentality? Like, because I've seen you guys play. Like, Gentile, I know you, and Cook, I know you work with Boris, and I know you got some flashy stuffs. I watch you play, Gentile. 2 dribble pull-up, catch and shoot 3, non-stop, right? Spin move, boom, 3 moves off the bat. So, like, to me, it's like, what are those moves for you guys that if you could just work on every single day, you could still be a great player, you could still get the coach's attention, and, you'll still have that opportunity?
Yeah,
Ryan should probably answer that. He's got the deepest bag.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, definitely
about that.
Bag.
And he only uses 1% of that bag.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you don't want to pull everything out right away, right? Then you kind of become inefficient. And
Empire 8 starting up the tournament, so don't let too much out. Right? Don't let too much out the bag right now. Don't give Nazareth that chip.
Hey, I don't know. I feel like that, for me personally, like you said, the pull-up, left and right pull-ups, like I feel like you have to, if you can work on one thing, I feel like for me personally, it'd be that. I feel like that has gone away so much with, especially college athletes and even at the high school level, pull-ups going left and right, 2 dribbles, 1 dribble into that, catch and shoot threes, and even having something like Dan's really good at this, like spin move, right? Dan has a really good spin move, and he gets to that like a lot, and it's very effective. You know what I mean? So I think just having like, to think about scoring in terms of 3 levels, right? Can you shoot it behind the arc? Can you get to that mid range, and can you score at the rim when it's necessary? And I think having all 3 of those it's helpful for sure. And I think just kind of being able to do those well and efficiently without a lot of like having like, fully said, not like over dribbling and, not just kind of holding on to the ball as long and, just being quick with what you want to do. And, I feel like that can be really effective for most people, most kids.
Yeah, I mean, my advice would be, I feel like everyone has different moves and different aspects of the game. Like, I wish I had a better pull-up and a better 3 than I do now. But I would just say, whatever your strength is, get to your spot and get to your spot efficiently. Yeah. And that's what's going to give you success.
I'll tell you in college, especially what I've seen, because in high school, our coach, at least my coach, he said if you don't shoot 60% from the mid range, you're not allowed to shoot them. So for 4 years, I didn't really shoot a mid range. So like, coming into college, you kind of need to have one, like at least to like open up the floor a little bit. So I think one simple move that every kid can work on, especially, and I know Dan does it well, is a floater. Like if you get in the lane, you can't always get to the rim. Like there's just going to be bodies that are waiting for you there. So having the ability to just put a floater up, and it's just easy. It makes the game a lot easier. So yeah, I mean, and I would
Love
say
my
it's
floaters.
not a yeah, no, it's not a move, but like just being able to change your pace well with the ball, like that's one of the harder things as a defender. Like if a dude's going to this is just fast the entire time, it's not hard to guard. But if he goes slow and then fast into it, then a defender relaxes for like half a second, and then he can get by him. So kind of having a good change of pace as well, I would say, is important.
Like one thing that helps all these moves too that we get yelled at practice all the time is playing off two. It just keeps you in control, and then you can just do all your moves based off that and just read the defense way better. If you play off two.
What is it playing?
Yeah, just like hop stepping or jump stopping.
Okay.
Instead of playing off one out of control.
Sure. Yep.
Just gives you more options and just less likely to turn the ball over.
Yeah. I mean, I think going back to like literally what Ryan said day one is the fundamentals, like the first 5 minutes, the fundamentals, because those are all the fundamentals of basketball. I think that the world is so fast with technology, is so readily available to see like the NBA guys, the top, the 5 recruits. You forget about like when you're in kindergarten or 6th grade at like the Nazareth camp or the Fisher camp or the Leisure camp or the Fitch camp, where literally 25 to 30 minutes was like dribble, 2 dribbles, jump stop, pivot, 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 2 dribbles, jump stop, pivot, pivot, pivot. Now, if you look at some of the drills now for young kids, it's like crazy ball handling, stationary. Then it's like into your finishes where you're Euro up. But then it's like, all right, what happens if 2 defenders take right and left? What do you do?
Right.
It's like, can you stop and do a floater? Can you pivot both ways and give up the initial shot, ball fake, pivot to a layup now, right? It's like the speed of where training is taking kids is like, here's level 0. It's like you go right to level 5 within the first 3 minutes of the workout.
Yeah. I would say it's pretty detrimental, to be honest with you. I mean, you probably see it a lot, Mark, is like you said, you have a lot of these younger kids coming in, and like, how do you retain all that, right? Like, how do you apply that to a game? And I feel like a lot of problems that these kids have is like, again, you can teach these kids to do this stuff around a cone, right? Or around something like that. And all these Euro steps and stuff. And it has a time and place for it. Sure. Right. But at such a young age, it's like, why not get good at things that, are going to be impactful to you right now and that you can have, later down the line? Because sometimes you have like, you'll see some of these guys that are older and they don't have any of the ability to do that stuff. And it's just because it came from the inability to, not have someone, help you work on it when you were younger, or you just didn't know what to do because you were just, looking at what was cool, what was popular.
Yeah.
I would also say, like, you go first, B.
No, you
go
go
first, B.
All right.
I mean, you go first, B.
Figure it out, guys. Let's go.
Decision here, fellas.
Play on 2.
We always like kind of joke around about it. Just like last year we did a Tyler Ralph camp. We helped run it. And we were doing these dribbling drills, and it was ages were probably like 1st grade to like, I don't know, like 8th grade, 7th grade. And he's putting together these cross between the legs behind the back, and like that intense dribbling with these kids that can't even dribble with their right hand. I mean, it just wasn't. In my opinion, I don't think it was like producing anything, and they were just getting frustrated, and some kids just quit. So it's like, again, those fundamentals. It's just again, like those 10 minutes of ball handling every day type of thing, and just pounding the ball. It makes a difference, but. I don't know. I'm with Ryan. I think it is detrimental if you start the youth like that.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, I think it gets lost in the shuffle sometimes. That like what we see, like the LeBrons, the Kevin Durant's, the Steph Curry's, like Kyrie, they're the best at the simple things at the same time as being good at like the skill, like other skill moves. Like they always like if you see they start like their pregame routine, they just start just form shooting. Like you see some kid just come in to the gym these days, just start like hucking up NBA threes, like right off the bat. Like the pros like show you what to do. Like they are the best at easy things. Like then you can go to more complex things. But I think you have to master like the simple things first to like, yeah.
I mean, to piggyback off with Panera, it's like, Tyler Ralph, no doubt, like changed my mentality and my ability. But I was 19 years old, right? Like
Exactly.
I just took my strength and my current ability and intensified it, which applied to like playing pickup and in the game because of that effort by building up the foundation, the fundamentals. It's like, so for the right kid, like if you're 16, 17, 18, I think those drills, those moves can be valuable, but you also got to look at a tactile piece. Like I remember when I was doing skills training, it was cone dominated, cross tween leg back, cross tween back, thousands of them. Then I started just throwing cones at kids, right? It was like, throw a cone to the right, you got to cross over to the left. You don't know when I'm throwing it at you. And then it was like, all right, now do a cross between a leg behind the back pull up, because that's a tactile move. But, like you can't do that unless you can dribble with your right hand, unless you can dribble with your left hand. The big thing is like position. Can you get into that position? And we talk about strength and conditioning. Can you get into a low position with the heel slightly floating and hold it for 60 seconds? Because now we're talking about 10 minutes of ball handling. Kids can't even do that. So like, let's go off the strength and conditioning piece. How is that like played a role? I know a lot of you said it helped you gain weight. Do you think that, there's a different level of training from intensity, exercise selection? Do you think there's a difference with like bodybuilding versus athletes? Cook, don't take it personal. Do you think like the strength and conditioning piece, just entire, like just going into the weight room consistently has changed your performance? And how can that like benefit kids now?
Honestly, I even though I always joke about doing my bicep curls and my bodybuilding exercises that I love to do. The first year you're doing something, like especially when you haven't worked out a bunch, like you're going to see tremendous transformation to your body. Like that first year and afterwards, you don't see as much change. But
hashtag
I would say
podcast. That's all
hashtag Huberman podcast. You know what I'm saying? Get that morning sunlight.
Right there.
Yeah, but I honestly wish growing up that I had more sports specific training, and I promise to all the listeners out there that I'm not getting paid by Fit Strength and Mark Bruce right now. But I honestly wish that I had gotten trained in like movement patterns more or less than anything, and like certain like mobility standards and like injury prevention. Because honestly, what I see at the D3 level is like the skill gap between us and D1 isn't super large. It's mostly athleticism and like how people are able to like be quick and move. And like a lot of guys at D3 who are like really good shooters and like can play decent defense, they don't move well. And like that oftentimes like leads to injuries. Like one of our teammates, he had like a bad ankle injury today, and I just don't think he doesn't do Euro steps very often. You know what I mean? And I think that movement pattern is huge for kids growing up. Like try to cross train, try to different sports. And like I think about myself, like I'm a pretty good off two jumper, and I would honestly attribute that to volleyball. Like I don't really jump well off one, but when I think about it, like that simple like 1-2 pattern, and then like if I had that in combination with something like you guys have at Fit Strength, I feel like that I could even be a better athlete than I am now. And then since I kind of got stuck in my ways of bodybuilding, I haven't really changed since.
Well, let's preface that I think that athletes need to start lifting to some degree, right? Bodybuilding, whatever. There is research that shows that if you wear a tank top, you should look good in a tank top. Like that'll help your performance. So there is an element of bodybuilding that is valid, until a point where it's not valid.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll go down a
take a little too far. You know what I mean? Like I came into Roberts Weston my first year of college, and I was like a $180. Like I was heavy, and I was like doing a lot of bodybuilding exercises. But at the same time, it's like I feel like I would get hurt or I'd have like little nicks, knacks, right, and injuries, and my body couldn't perform to like how I wanted it to. And especially again, like working with you, Mark, just understanding like kind of like what Dan said, understanding how to move my body in certain ways that my sport kind of requires it to. Like I can't train like a bodybuilder because it's not going to be functional for me when I get on the court. You know what I mean? So just it's definitely been a learning experience, but at the same time, I think still it's an issue. Like even at our level, like kids do not train like basketball players enough. I think it's definitely causing injuries and causing people to sometimes miss time or have kind of soreness or not be able to perform to the highest level that they want to. So, it's definitely, it's a tough one, but weightlifting in general, starting it, while you're in high school or beforehand, it can give you such an advantage. It really can.
What I learned too, like based on all the new, like, because I've never trained as like a basketball player, like until you came, Mark, and it has changed, and I have learned that like my body's not as sore.
Yeah.
And we have a 5 month season. It's a long season, so your body takes a toll. And I've learned that my body has been in better shape every day to go. And and there's always stuff to do if you do have pain. Different exercises you could do that you taught us. And one big thing that you really hype up is foam rolling. I've had knee pain, and ever since I've done it, it's really helped. So another piece of advice for athletes is foam roll. It really does work. It may look funny, but it does work.
Yeah, no, this summer was really like back home in Denver. I started working out like with one of my buddies. His dad has a place like that focuses like specifically on like specific sports. So the dude I was working with was just basketball training. It's mainly like increasing my speed and my vertical like over the summer. And I remember one day there was it was like a hop step with like a big medicine ball, and then you're throwing it into the wall. And I was like, what is this working on? And he told me, it was like, when you're driving down the lane, you want to have a bunch of power to explode off of one leg if you have to do a hop step. And that was like the first time I'd really ever like done, like, it kind of just, I was like, oh, like this is cool. Like that I'm actually going to see myself like be better at something that I do all the time, like in a game, rather than just like doing the back squat or like doing a bicep curl. But I do my bicep curls all the time. You see it, Mark. But like stuff like just like knowing that I'm gonna use it like in my sport was like I kind of like, it was just cool to see. And I actually like really enjoyed doing like basketball specific training. I kind of wish I started it like earlier in my career, but yeah, I kind of like what you said, like you specialize in it. I think it like really does help. Like I've noticed I haven't gotten, like, I mean, you're always going to be sore kind of like, it's just the way of the season, but like not as sore as I have been in the past. So
well, a lot of you guys said a lot of great stuff, and I appreciate the shout out. But just you think back to what you said, Foley. Like, why do you guys play basketball? It's like it makes me happy, makes me less stressed, team camaraderie, get to play with my boys. Or you get older, far and few do you get to see your friends every single day for 2, 3, 4, 6 hours. So that pickup game, that men's league could be that reason why, right? You get to rekindle relationships, but that doesn't happen if you're injured, right? So there's a huge element of just like, what can you do that keeps you healthy to do the things that you love to do, right? And that's where like we talk about basketball specific training, but in actuality, 99% of the people that you will come in contact with, some of you have been lucky enough to play with guys other than the NBA, it's the ball, like it's done after it's done after high school, it's done after college. So like 99% of you just going to be, narps, right? You're just going to be people, all athletic, regular people, and it's just, how can I be happy? How can I relieve stress? And I think that idea of cross training, playing basketball, lifting, so you can, still move like a human being and not get injured and enjoy time with friends and family. There's such a huge value. And there's a huge value. Just, I think you guys did great. Just start working out, right? Sometimes we overcomplicate it. So I don't want people to think that you have to hire a basketball specific sports performer. Like, you got to start working out first. If you adhere to a bodybuilding program, then adhere to it, right? At least now get curious, because you just got to work out, plain and simple. Because like you all said, you're going to go to college and play against a 22, now with COVID, 24, 25-year-olds, right? That's just the reality of it. You're not going to make it if you're a $150. Absolutely not. Like, how many guys have you played against that are a $150 right now? Anyone in the D3 level is a $150 that's seeing the floor.
Not anyone.
No,
definitely not.
So at the end of the day, like, I don't care how good of a shooter you are, you will not see the court if you are a $150 and a guard, let alone a 6'8" guy.
Yeah.
Right. Seriously.
Right.
That's just not happening. All right. So before we wrap it up and do our speed round, any final thoughts? Anything else that came into your mind during this conversation, or something that you want to, leave some of the parents or, basketball players that could be listening to this?
Yeah, I got one. I got two, actually. I would honestly say, I would say that attitude is probably one of the biggest things that's pretty overlooked, and it's talked about a lot. And especially as a parent, you can really foundation this for your child because you're the one that ultimately has the most say in their lives. But like sometimes we we've 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old guys who you see on opposing teams or your own team, and they always are pointing a finger. And a coach, they hate to see that. And honestly, even more so, like your teammates hate to see that. Like you make a bad pass, like you own up to it and you go to the next play. Like we're playing at a high intensity, fast speed game. And honestly, it's a part of life too. Like when you make a mistake, the only thing you can do is own up to it and move on. Kind of that next play mentality. And then kind of just harping on what you said. You can be the best shooter on the floor or the best dunker or the best passer, but at the end of the day, if you're injured, you can't do anything. And it kind of reminds me of that quote that availability is the best ability. So taking care of your bodies is really key. And like even myself now, I'm 21 years old and I feel a lot worse than I do when I'm 18 years old going to play back-to-back games on a Friday and Saturday. So like just get into your hip mobility routine, like just establishing something that is like foundational and crucial to you feeling your best is huge mentally and physically.
Yeah. Just kind of go off Dan's side. I think, it's a little thing, but maybe for even high schoolers, even at the college level, I think a routine is actually pretty important. I think having a routine to, whether that's before a game or before, game days, practices, whatever it may be, I think it can be healthy for people to kind of get into something that, that is going to prepare them for what they're going to, do on the court athletically. I think having routines, whether it's shooting or having something in the weight room, lifting wise, and, even like Mark, you gave me that med ball routine, right? I've been doing that for like the past 3 weeks now, kind of just as something that I'm, kind of do before games. I think the other thing too is, again, I know I said it before, is just, I think having kids understand that, you don't have to learn everything at once, and, understanding the basics and the fundamentals and kind of getting really good at one thing. And kind of like Foley said too, just taking advantage of that and, applying it to games and, really seeing it kind of develop. But yeah, I'd say those are the two main things for me. I would give advice to is, routine and, understanding the basics and the fundamentals at a young age.
I would say just always stay ready and be patient, especially with, a bunch of fifth years happening with COVID. Underclassmen, aren't going to really play a ton. So, sitting the bench could be tough and frustrating, but, you never know when your opportunity is going to happen. I know, especially with us, with all the injuries and people that had to leave the team, a lot of guys have had to step up and get opportunities that they didn't have before. So just stay patient. You just never know, and just make the most of it.
I would say one thing, as much as we've talked about like the importance of being physically strong, I think having a good like mental strength is also really important, especially in college. Like being on your own, it's like probably your first time on your own without your family. Like you're always like everyone is bound to have a bad game, like a bad shooting game. It's kind of like I think just what I've learned throughout like 4 years is the ability to respond is probably one of the best things you can do as a college basketball player, because like a coach will notice that, your teammates will notice that, and even you'll notice that within yourself. Like if you have the ability to respond in a positive way to like any adversity that hits you, I think it'll just make you as a better person and a better player in the end. So yeah.
Great, guys. Love it. All right. Speed round. Top 5 hoopers. Any generation. Who do you got? Top 5.
Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Steph Curry.
Yeah, mine's kind of like that. I'd probably say Steph Curry, Kobe, Jordan, LeBron, and Shaq.
In order?
No, just as a lineup.
Okay. All right. Steph Curry number 1. Whoa.
No, just do a point guard through center.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. No specific order here, but definitely Kobe and Michael Jordan, just from the mere fact of like their efficiency. And again, I love pull-ups, so I was like the master class from them, right? But I also like Luka, like Kyrie Irving. I don't know. I'll give a little love to Maddie here. I like Tatum too. I like Jason Tatum. I know he's a big
You putting
fan.
3 guys who are 26 and
like
under
that.
in the top 5 of all time?
Oh, all time? I mean, that's what I personally
talking about?
like. I mean, those are guys I personally like. I don't know
That's
about all
cool.
time,
That's
but
cool. It's all good.
I wouldn't say these are in any order, but I'm gonna go LeBron, MJ, Kobe. I love watching Kevin Durant, so I'm gonna put him. I think he's honestly. I think skill wise, I think Kevin Durant's probably the most skilled player ever. What he can do he's really 7'1". What he can do at 7'1" is just crazy. Was that was 4, right? I'm probably gonna go Kareem. I think you get Kareem. What he was able to do was pretty crazy, and then sneak it up once he wins the championship this year is gonna be my boy Jokic.
No, I don't think so, dude.
All right, I like it. All right, 10 seconds left in the game. You got the rock, ISO. What are you doing? 10 seconds left in the game. What are you doing?
Spin move.
You need the ball short corner? Do you need the ball at the 3-point line?
I'd probably start at 3-point line and hit a little combo move to spin move.
Are you a left, 2-dribble left?
Yeah, probably.
2-dribble left. Come here, Bubba. All right, I like it. All right, what are you doing, Gentile? Pull up?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking a pull-up. Probably a 2-dribble pull-up.
Okay. No, it's not JP. Say hi.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
So where do you go? Are you going right? You going 2-dribble to the left? Or you 2-dribble to the right?
I'll probably take a 2-dribble to the left. A little fade, maybe,
Okay. All right. I like it. Panera, what do you got?
Knowing myself, I'm gonna have someone else have the ball to start, and then I'm gonna be on the I'm gonna be on the perimeter for 3, and I'm gonna pass it.
Are you a decoy?
Well, no, I'm gonna be on the 3-point line. They're gonna pass it to me. I'm gonna shoot a 3.
And when Gentile don't get that spin or the pull up, you're gonna be that
when they get cut off.
Corner pass 3 for that quick shot.
That's exactly it.
That's exactly it.
I like it. All right. What are you doing, Foley?
I don't know. I was talking to Dan. Maybe just like some like quick move, but probably to try to get downhill to my right hand, or just dribbling into a 3. Honestly, if it's an ISO, so
all good. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Best basketball memory. Last question. No.
Mine was probably making it to the state finals my senior year. Even though we lost, it was a pretty cool experience just to be in that kind of environment with Jim Boeheim watching my game. Was pretty cool.
Nice. Okay.
High school, I don't think I had a ton of great memories since we never really won that much. So I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, so not a very winning culture over there. But I don't know. I definitely enjoyed. I'd say the end of last year's game, probably for Fisher when I had 10 threes in the game. That was probably my most enjoyable memory so far.
Nice.
I would say winning a sectional title my senior year at Sutherland in Blue Cross Arena. So that was pretty cool.
I like it.
I would say probably as a freshman winning the 8. That was pretty fun. Like I think we were down like 25 at Naz. So that was a pretty cool experience to be there and see that. So yeah.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time. It's been a great year. You guys still got a long year left. So got an important week ahead of you. You've had a great season so far, and it's been awesome working with you. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day to chat with me.
I appreciate it, Mark.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. We'll see you Thursday. Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, see you around.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Press it right now. No, you got to press this. Click this. Thanks for tuning in to the show. If this episode was helpful in any way, please share this episode with a teammate, a parent, or a coach to help get this podcast in front of many people like yourself. I really appreciate your support. For more information about sports performance training, follow us on Instagram at fitstrength_performance or subscribe to our YouTube channel that has over 1,500 videos. Have a great day and happy training.